is a presidential historian and author of the book Presidential Leadership, and Crystal Wright is a communication strategist and editor at conservativeblackchick.com. Thanks, guys, for being over here. Nick, why the heck are you way over there?
I think that's on purpose.
Right. All right, Nick, we'll start with you. What do the independent voters want?
Well, the economy and jobs. And the president, while he struggled with independence for most of his first term, it's been turning around recently with the job numbers improving. The challenge for Mitt Romney is he's been forced so far right during the primaries to court conservatives. Can he get back to the middle and start courting those independents, particularly suburban and ex-urban women voters who want to talk about the economy and jobs and not about some of the social issues that have been popping up? So that's his challenge, is to win the nomination but then get back to the middle for independence.
Yeah. All right, Crystal, what do these candidates need to do to court the independent voters?
You know, it's the economy, stupid, right?
But that's the same for all of them, isn't it?
No, but like Nick said, you know, they really need to move away from these social wedge issues. I think Romney is doing a much better job than Santorum, and certainly Gingrich is doing a good job, and Ron Paul. That's what they need to do. Independent voters, who make up about 40% of the electorate now, we know this, they're going to be pivotal to Obama and Romney. So they need to talk about, even Governor McDonnell said recently at the Governors Association meeting, folks are concerned about job creation. We need to get away from these social issues, which is kind of ironic for McDonnell, what's happening now with that ultrasound bill. But remember, McDonnell and Christie won on bread and butter issues, about kitchen table issues, you know, so that's really what it's about. You got to talk about money and jobs. How are you going to put more of both in the American people's you know, homes? All
right, Mary Catherine, I was reading an article this morning in The Atlantic by Linda Killian. She says about 40% of all American voters call themselves now independents. 40%, the largest number of independent voters in 70 years. Why is that?
Well, I think there's disillusionment with both parties, as there probably should be. Everybody sees the deficit and the debt rising and nobody really doing anything about it, and sort of these smoke and mirrors cuts every now and then. People are genuinely concerned about that issue. And I think what you also see, which is interesting, is if you look at the Gallup polling on people self-identifying as liberal, conservative, or moderate, conservative numbers have gone up. So a lot of that independent vote is actually becoming slightly more conservative. Doesn't mean it's a lockdown for Republicans, but if they can talk to those people like they did in 2010, they will act like Republicans when in 2008 they voted like Democrats.
Nick, does this mean we're more alike than we are different? If more people are becoming independents, we're moving more to the center, the whole country?
No, it doesn't. It's actually it's a paradox. Mary Catherine's right. The campaigns are so negative, and now with super PACs, it's almost unlimited negative because you don't have to put your name behind some of that negativity, that it's driving people away from the parties towards independence. It doesn't mean the independents are unified. It just means that they're turned off by the system. And I think that's an issue with super PACs, and it's allowed these candidates to attack each other with impunity without holding themselves responsible for it.
All right. Now, Barack Obama, he got 52% of the independent votes back in 2008. John McCain, 44%. Can Obama win the independent vote?
Well, Obama is falling woefully short among independents. And when I looked at the last Gallup poll, which was in the beginning of the year, you had 50% of Americans who disapproved of Barack Obama's job, you know, the job he was doing. But among independents, guess what? Almost 60%. So he has a big road ahead of him, Barack Obama, in wooing independence. So I think it's unfair to say that, you know, somehow Republicans don't have a fair shot. They have an equally fair shot to sell their message.
And I'm trying to get better about this. I said Obama. I need to say President Obama. He deserved that title, or he deserves that title. So, all right, now what about today? It's Super Tuesday. How many, can independents vote in all of these primaries or caucuses?
Well, it depends. Like wherever you see Ron Paul, for instance, competing hard, somewhere like North Dakota, is where those folks are allowed to vote. You saw that in South Carolina, where he can get a pretty large percentage. Iowa, those are the places. That's your signal. If Ron Paul's on the ground, then independents can make a difference, because that can be some crossover for
Alaska.
A lot of people think these open primaries are not fair, though, because then the Democrats can vote in a Republican primary. And
it's mischief making, and Santorum was benefit of that in Michigan. But I think we're going to see more states go to a closed system in the future.
Do you really? Do you think we're going to see changes in Virginia with their process there?
No, we're not. I mean, look, Virginia's law has been in place. I'm a native Virginian. I come from Richmond, Virginia. Since 1970, candidates have been able to meet the bar and the threshold for getting on the ballot. It's not going to change. You know, Virginians, we don't play like that. I mean, you know, and I think all the grousing about it, Romney was able not only to meet the deadline, but to meet it early.
Do you hear that? Virginia, we don't play
That's right,
like
we
that.
don't. So,
good use of grousing.
All right, time right now is 55 minutes. Thanks, guys. 55 minutes after the hour, and we still have a lot